PBSVA-4 Red Cell Scenario Residential Gas Line Sabotage. This is a report to CSIS and NSA by Tier 1 White Hat Red Cell and whistleblower Geoffry Logue. Operation Backdraft. The following scenario has been outlined strictly for educational and preventative purposes. It illustrates how a bad actor, terrorist, or hostile operative could exploit vulnerabilities in residential gas systems to cause catastrophic harm. I do not support or encourage such actions in any way. I developed this scenario through pattern recognition and red team analysis to help prevent real-world attacks, raise public awareness, and support national security professionals in identifying and closing critical infrastructure loopholes before they are exploited. Threat Tier, PBSVA-4 Red Tier, targeting urban civilian locations. Probability of success sits at 100% when left unmitigated. The framework in use is PBSVA-4 OmniVantage Suite, Paradox Collapse Precision. Intelligence accuracy is, well, Infinity Delta Omega certified. Casualty projection, if unmitigated, ranges from 1 to 5 direct fatalities, with an additional 15 to 50 collateral or secondary fire spread victims. Economic loss is estimated between $2 million and $25 million, factoring in property damage, insurance fraud, fire response, and legal ramifications. The objective here is to simulate a red cell adversary exploiting vulnerabilities in home gas line infrastructure to create a controlled explosion. The goal is to make it look like an accidental gas leak, while evading detection, framing the incident as a tragedy, or even using it as a distraction for larger attacks. Step 1. Target selection and recon, using urban mapping and pattern recognition. The target is a detached residential home with a natural gas connection, maybe Enbridge or Fortis, older copper or black iron gas piping, and no external CCTV. The Red Cell uses open-source tools like Zillow, Google Maps, and satellite overlays to analyze access points, line entry locations, usually through the basement or exterior meter, and the response times of emergency services in the area. The likelihood of success here is 100%, since open-source recon tools make this process pretty trivial. Step 2. Gas line access and manipulation, with no forced entry. The operative accesses the external gas meter during daylight hours, posing as a utility worker. They'll use an adjustable pipe wrench, a gas pressure regulator shim, and a portable gas leak sensor to avoid premature ignition. The operative modifies the pressure regulator or removes key fittings, allowing a slow, controlled indoor leak to build up overnight. The success likelihood is 95%, since regulators aren't tamper-proof and most homes lack external alarms. Step 3. Triggering the explosion, which can be done with a timed ignition device, like a phone-triggered relay, toaster rig, or modified timer outlet, or with an environmental trigger, like a motion sensor light, HVAC spark, or fridge compressor, click on. The leak reaches the lower explosive limit after 6 to 12 hours indoors. The detonation potential is equivalent to 1 to 3 sticks of dynamite in a confined space. The result? Complete internal structural failure, total destruction of the house, and possible damage to neighboring homes. Step 4. Exit and disguise using false attribution and psychological layering. The Red Cell uses methods to frame the explosion as accidental, leaving candle residue, a coffee pot with a faulty timer, or an unplugged carbon monoxide detector. They'll even alter metadata in smart devices to create a false sleep timeline. Law enforcement almost always concludes accidental leak unless they're specifically trained to detect forensic sabotage. This expanded analysis provides a step-by-step operational sequence, including the exact tools, psychology, environmental layering, forensic disruption, and technical deception tactics. It simulates how a Red Cell operative would execute a residential gas line explosion while evading detection and making it appear to be a tragic accident. Scenario title: Operation Backdraft. The objective is to simulate the destruction of a residential home through gas line sabotage, while concealing intent and creating plausible deniability. First, open source intelligence or OSINT. Use Zillow, Realtor.ca, and Google Maps to locate homes with confirmed natural gas connections. Utility hookup data is often public. Look for detached homes without external security cameras, dated construction from before 2000, which means weaker structural resistance and homes in neighborhoods with slower police and fire response times. Next, thermal and pattern recognition, using drone recon or a simple walk-by. A FLIR-enabled drone can help identify the outdoor gas meter location, verify which rooms are used frequently by tracking lights or heat signatures, and spot pets or occupants who might trigger early ignition or detect the leak. Then, identity mapping and behavior tracking. Map the family's daily schedule, school drop-offs, work hours, sleep patterns. If possible, review social media posts like check-ins, stories, or vacations. Ideally, the family returns home around 6 p.m., goes to sleep by 10 p.m., and the leak begins at 11 p.m. Why does this matter? The saboteur chooses a window of time when everyone is asleep, doors and windows are shut, and gas can accumulate uninterrupted. To begin, the attacker puts on a branded reflective vest, carries a clipboard and flashes a fake ID tag. They walk casually onto the property either in broad daylight or just before dusk. Honestly, most neighbors don't even glance twice at someone who looks like they're just doing routine safety checks. That's the psychological advantage at play here. Now, as for the tools, they use an adjustable pipe wrench to loosen the pressure regulator coupling and a flathead screwdriver to nudge the shutoff valve just a little. A custom-made pressure regulator shim is slipped in to override the limiter, letting gas flow without restriction. They also bring along a portable natural gas leak sensor, like a UEI CD100A, to make sure there's no leak that could trigger alarms or, worse, cause an early ignition. For the actual execution, the attacker removes or slightly opens the cap between the meter and the indoor intake pipe. Then they insert a small shim into the regulator spring to defeat the low-pressure shutoff. After that, they tighten the coupling so it looks untouched. The result? A leak that allows undetectable, low-pressure gas to flow indoors, potentially for 6 to 12 hours straight. That's more than enough time for catastrophic levels of gas to build up. Inside the home, natural gas, which is mostly methane, rises and gathers near the ceiling, while propane, if it's used, sinks and settles near the floorboards. That's especially dangerous around furnace zones. Where the leak happens really matters. In the kitchen, gas can pool dangerously near the fridge, stove, or microwave. In the basement, it's a deadly threat near HVAC systems, the dryer, or the water heater. Now, for ignition, there are a few options. First, there's the delayed timed ignition. All it takes is a $5 outlet timer and a toaster with a broken spring, or maybe a heated filament coil. The timer kicks on the toaster at, say, 3 in the morning, when everyone's asleep. The coil glows hot and ignites the gas-air mix instantly. Another route is manipulating smart appliances. The attacker could use known exploits like CVE 2023-22955 to program a smart thermostat or lights to turn on the heater or HVAC system at a set time, sparking an ignition. Or they might not use any tech at all, just a motion sensor light in the garage or hallway. If a pet moves and the light flips on, that tiny electrical arc can ignite methane at concentrations as low as 6 to 10% in the air. The key here is timing. The saboteur makes sure ignition happens when everyone is home, maximizing the fatality risk and erasing forensic traces. To muddy the waters, the attacker contaminates the scene in ways that look totally plausible. They might leave burnt candle stubs in the living room, set the coffee pot on a faulty timer, or smudge residue near the stove and microwave buttons to make it look like someone just forgot to turn something off. Then they go after the digital evidence. Using Wi-Fi injection tools like the Pineapple or Wi-Fi Duck, they alter smart home device logs, forcing them to record fake sleep and wake cycles or bogus command times. For high-profile cases, they might even send a text from the victim's unlocked phone, something like, "I forgot to turn the stove off," using a cloned SIM card, just to steer investigators toward thinking it was all a tragic accident. Finally, the operative exits with psychological invisibility. They walk away calmly, no mask, no hurry. A couple blocks away, they ditch the gloves and ID badge, remove the vest, and head into an unrelated building or vehicle. Witnesses don't suspect a thing, because the whole act looks exactly like routine gas maintenance. So after the explosion, The pressure inside the house ranges anywhere from 5 to 20 psi, depending on how much gas was actually in there. The house itself can get lifted right off its foundation, and honestly, the whole thing is just consumed in a massive fireball. Even the windows of neighboring homes get blown out, which means, yeah, glass injuries are definitely possible. When fire crews show up, they're usually looking at either a huge crater or a raging blaze, and there's no obvious ignition source to be found. Now, when police and fire departments wrap up their reports, they usually conclude it was an accidental gas leak, unknown ignition source. Unless someone suspects arson, which is pretty rare. There's no toxicology done. Autopsies might not even be complete because of how severe the burns are. And if there's no surveillance, there's no suspect, so well, the case is basically closed. If you take things up a notch, multiple homes on the same block could be rigged, which, honestly, turns it into a mass casualty event and makes it look like a gas utility failure. Sometimes these incidents are even timed to coincide with a local political event, acting as a distraction or, a false flag operation. If the attack is framed as religious retaliation, it injects a completely false narrative into already tense social situations. And to make matters worse, it could be paired with a ransomware hit on the utility company, making the whole thing look like a systemic infrastructure collapse. So, let's talk about mitigation. Tamper-sensing gas meters can send an SMS alert to both the homeowner and the utility company if anything's off. Home-based gas detectors, especially those with a battery backup, will sound a loud alarm if methane levels go above 2% LEL. There's also the mandatory utility verification system, where a QR code is scanned by neighbors and linked to an official database to confirm legitimacy. Smart appliances can be set to a hard stop after 10 p.m., which means late-night triggers are blocked unless there's a biometric override. And finally, citizen anti-impersonation training through public briefings helps everyone get wise to utility scam threats. This ultra-detailed vector analysis honestly shows just how a single red cell operative with nothing more than basic tools, a bit of know-how about gas systems and minimal tech can completely destroy a residential home, make it look like an accident, and slip away undetected every single time if there aren't proper countermeasures in place. The scary part is just how simple this attack is, and it really proves why we need widespread residential hardening, serious utility reform, and AI-powered early detection systems. The PBSVA-4 red cell simulation lays out a sabotage vector that's 100% successful when it comes to targeting residential gas infrastructure. The fact that it's so easy to pull off with no tamper detection, and the potential for massive destruction disguised as an accident, shows this is a critical threat to urban security. If we don't implement mitigation strategies, we're basically guaranteeing this can be repeated, especially by lone actors, terrorists, or hostile cells pretending to be utility workers or operating under black budget cover. This expanded analysis gives you the step-by-step playbook, including the tools, the psychology, environmental layering, how forensic disruption works, and all the technical deception tactics. It simulates exactly how a red cell operative would pull off a residential gas line explosion, all while avoiding detection and making it look like nothing more than a tragic accident.